fighter, are you ready? Are you ready? Let's do this!
Hi, family. Welcome back once again to another episode of the Gold Corner. Again, guys, like I do every week, I just want to thank everybody for all the love and support. Guys, really, this means so much to me, and I know it means so much to all the other parents and the support group that we have started and the family that we have created here with the Gold Corner. I just, from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of all these parents' hearts, we just want to say thank you so much for your continued support and for continuing to spread childhood cancer awareness. I actually made a post a little bit earlier on my Facebook of how horrible cancer is and how the media and how just on television they portray it to be something simple, something where children are laughing as they're being treated and all that. Guys, we only get 4%. It's exactly right. 96% goes to adult cancer research, and only 4% goes for our children. Our children deserve so much more than that. So that's what my purpose here is to be able to spread childhood cancer awareness and to just open up the eyes of all these people that are not aware of what this monster is here. This week, another very special story, special as they all are in their own way. Of course, to me, whenever it's a neuroblastoma story, it just hits home a lot more because, again, ultimately, neuroblastoma is what ended up taking my daughter Mia's life. So, here we are again. I had the pleasure of meeting our next guest and our next family in one of the support groups, and she agreed to come on here and speak about her warrior. I had the honor and the blessing of meeting Gabriella DiMaggio from Staten Island, New York, and she's joining us today. And she's going to be talking to us about her son, about Warrior Rocco, actually just diagnosed this year, a couple of months ago, and what he's been going through already, where he's at right now, and what he's going to be going through in the next couple of months, even couple of years. So, Gabriella, I just wanted to say thank you for being a part of the Gold Corner again. I wanted to create this family platform here to be able to speak about our warriors. So, again, welcome to the Gold Corner. And like I said, you have a family here. Whenever you need anything, we're all here to help you and Rocco out and your family. So, the floor is yours. Talk to us about your
Thank
warrior.
you. Thank you so much. But first, I'd like to say thank you so much for what you're doing because I think it's very important. And 4% is just not enough. Definitely not enough for our children. They deserve much more than that. So thank you for what you're doing. So yes, my little warrior. So this year has been the year from hell for us, for many people, I'd say. But the year of COVID, this all started back in April. I unfortunately was diagnosed with COVID. I didn't know I had COVID. I had some very minor symptoms. I was just a little congested. At night, I had the sweats a little bit. Didn't even think I had a fever until a couple of days later. Rocco started showing symptoms of having very high fevers. He stopped walking, which was very strange. He usually cooks with me. He likes to help me prepare things in the kitchen. He asked me to put him up on the counter and he just laid out. And I said, okay, what's wrong? This he never does. So he continued. There was about 4 or 5 days of 104.5 fevers that we couldn't even break. So it was like, okay, something is wrong. So we went and we got swabbed after his pediatrician refused. He said, even if he has it, there's nothing we can do. I said, you know what, it's important for me. I had a newborn at home as well. My mom comes and watches them. I have a nanny. So I need to make sure we kept everybody else safe if it in fact was COVID. Sure enough, we went to get swabbed. We both had COVID. Rocco recovered from COVID, but he continued to not walk. So I'm like, why is he not walking? He's feeling better. He's eating again. Then he stopped eating. Then he ate again, but he never went back to walking. And I'm like, okay, maybe COVID is doing something to his body. I don't know. Went to his pediatrician. Again, he said, I think this is COVID related. Let's just wait a little bit longer. He blew us off. We left. 2 days later, I took him to an urgent care. I said, something's not right. He's not walking, but everything else seems to be a little bit better. They did an x-ray. They didn't see anything. They did blood tests. They didn't see anything. His pediatrician did call me back and said, oh, it seems like your son's anemic. I don't know what's going on. He goes, maybe you need to go see a specialist. So I called the specialist. and he wanted us to go in. I said, given the circumstances of COVID, maybe now's not the right time. Is there anything we can do remotely? You can see him. He said, yeah, I'm looking at the count and it looks like it could potentially be leukemia, but in this case, I don't think it is because he just had COVID. So I said, okay. He goes, I would just wait a little bit. 2 days later, I decide he's still not walking. I'm not comfortable with this. I took him to Morgan Stanley Children's Hospital in Manhattan, where they diagnosed him in about 4 hours. I remember I went alone because of COVID. It couldn't be my husband and I. So I took Rocco by myself. We went in and we laid him down. The doctor said, "Do you notice that?" And I didn't realize what it was, but there was a large mass protruding from his left side. And I said, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen it. I got him dressed this morning. I didn't even see it. So she looked at me and she said, okay, I just want to let you know we're going to reach out to our oncology team. And I said, oncology team? I couldn't believe that those words even came out of her mouth. So I started making phone calls. I called my husband. I said, you have to come over here. I don't know what's going on. Please. They said, you know what, for this, we'll make an exception. He can come. So that's when I knew, okay, this is not going to be good. So he came in. Sure enough, after the scans, they confirmed unofficially without the biopsy that it was neuroblastoma. As soon as I heard that, I didn't know what neuroblastoma was. So of course I wanted to research, but at the same time, I just wanted to hug my son and tell him that he's going to be fine. So we were there that night and I told him, whatever it takes, I will do anything in my power to make sure that he gets through this. And I told him he has no choice but to get through this. So I heard the word cancer and I said, we're going to Sloan, because here in New York, you hear cancer and everyone here goes to Memorial Sloan Kettering to be treated for cancer. It's the best of the best from what we know. So sure enough, the next morning, we got his diagnosis at like 11 p.m. So the next morning, I immediately called Dr. Modak. He got on the line with me almost immediately. He said, okay, I'm going to try my best to get a bed, but if I can't, then please just have them do the biopsy there, have them do the port. So they actually had to access him right away. And I said, I just want to be there to do it. He tried his best. We couldn't get there. That was a Wednesday. We couldn't get there until Friday, which was May 15th. So May 15th, we got there, we got settled into our room, and admitted. And then by May 16th, I remember it was the day before my 31st birthday, we started with chemo. So it was a day I will never forget, especially the day he was diagnosed, but I didn't know what to expect. I was researching, people were reaching out, my head was spinning, everything was just a whirlwind. So he started chemo. He did pretty well through it. Of course, he got some nausea. He stopped eating a little bit. Rocco has a very good appetite, and the doctors were even surprised throughout most of the process. He maintains his good appetite. But then the neutropenia started. So he got a fever. We went right back to the hospital. He had extremely bad mucositis. These are all things that I never knew what they were. He was drooling from his mouth, couldn't even keep his mouth closed, couldn't drink, couldn't eat. So they said it's a case of mucositis. We were admitted again after being home for just 1 or 2 days. And since his first cycle, we're really in a 4-month period. We were really only home for maybe 10 to 12 days. So in 4 months, we spent most of our time there at Memorial Sloan Kettering. Unfortunately, most of every time except for maybe 1 or 2 days, it was myself and Rocco, because we couldn't have any visitors. We couldn't really swap out with my husband. He could, but they had very strict rules and guidelines because of COVID. So it was very difficult. And I also my newborn, so that was challenging as well. Well, he was 6 months, he was maybe 8 months at the time. So that was tough for me because I wanted to be there for Rocco. I also wanted to see my newborn and my husband. So that was very difficult for us. But we got through 3 cycles. It was very difficult. He lost a lot of weight. He lost his hair, which was sad because he liked to twirl his hair at night when he was putting himself to sleep. So that when his nurse, he had wonderful nurses that became family. I said, her name was Cassie. I said, Cassie, you have to do this for me. I can't do it. I can't shave his head. And his hair was falling out so quickly. said, it's going to be okay. Let's do it. And we did it, and he liked it. And then he kept saying he wants his hair back, but that was after that. So after cycle 3, we did scans, and people don't realize. Okay, they say, "Oh, you're going for scans? That's great. Let us know how it goes." But there's this thing called scanxiety, and it's horrible because you just think the worst. You try so hard to think the best of everything, and you just can't because it's so terrible thinking. Did it shrink? Did it get bigger? Did it spread? And I apologize, but on May 12th, he was diagnosed with stage 4. It was already stage 4 neuroblastoma, spread through his bones, his body. He had a huge mass that covered his adrenal gland and his left kidney. So it already spread everywhere. So when I heard that after they confirmed the scans and the biopsy, I said, okay, what do we do? So we went over that plan with Dr. Modak. So we got through 3 cycles, and the mass, thank God, did shrink. It was 11 centimeters when he was diagnosed. It was huge. So it shrunk, and they were able to do the first surgery, which was performed by Dr. LaQualia, who's an amazing surgeon at Sloan, who does, I think he's probably the one that does most of the surgeries for neuroblastoma worldwide, I would say. So he was able to remove the mass. It was a 12-hour-long surgery, and that day felt like an eternity. It felt like it was never ending. And we prayed and we prayed and we prayed. We were just hoping that he can get everything out at that time. We wouldn't have to go back to surgery. So finally, they called us back. We went in. He told us he removed the mass and other spots of cancer that he had throughout. But unfortunately, he had cancer spots up in his chest that he wasn't able to get through during that surgery. So we said, okay, so what's next? So Dr. LaQualia and Dr. Modak agreed that we would do one more cycle of chemo and then scan again and see if maybe we will go back in or just continue doing chemo and hope that that'll just get everything. So he did his 4th cycle of chemo. After that, we spoke with Dr. LaQualia and Dr. Modak, and they decided we are going to do another surgery. So we did the second surgery, which was another 8 hours long. They had to cut him open under both shoulder blades in order to get all of the cancer out that was in his chest. That was the safest way for them to do it. And originally, Dr. LaQualia spoke about doing it 2 times separately because he didn't want to do that to Rocco, but he finally agreed, and I asked him just to try his best to do it again, all in, one more time, because I didn't want to put him through a 3rd surgery if we can avoid that. So thank God he did. And after that, so that was 20 hours of surgery in just 1 month, which was very challenging because he wasn't walking. So this is another month of him not walking. His bones are getting weaker. He's losing weight, but he got through it, thank God. And then after that, we had to do another cycle of chemo. And for that one, we did ice. And the reason why we did ice, we switched it from cisplatin because the platinum chemos, unfortunately caused hearing loss. So that was a long-term side effect we had to be concerned with. So Dr. Modak said, let's try ice and see to maybe potentially help him with the hearing loss. So during that 5th cycle, we did ice. And unfortunately, they gave it to him too quickly. I think they did it over a 2-hour period as opposed to 8 or 12. And he had what's called ice toxicity, where it actually attacked his nervous system and he was unresponsive. He couldn't pick up his arms. He couldn't hold his head up. His eyes were rolling. They called code. Everybody came in. I wasn't even there at that day. That happened to be one of the days that my husband was there, and he called me and I lost it. I couldn't even drive to the hospital. I was in pain. I was throwing up. So all I remember was a friend had somebody had a car pick me up, get me to the hospital. I remember going in and he couldn't look at me. I said, what's going on? Where is my son? What is going on right now? So they explained it to me that it's called ice toxicity. So you give them chemo because you think that this is the only option, not realizing like it's truly toxic. It's toxicity. And that's what he had. He had toxicity all in him that attacked his nervous system. So they were able to flush him out, and within 24 hours he started coming back and being his normal self, well, the best of himself that he was at that time. So after that, we only finished about 80% of that cycle, and I said, that's it, I'm done, I'm not giving him any more chemo. Let's go to scans and see where we are from here. And Dr. Modak, his oncologist, thankfully agreed that we can move forward, because he thought that he got enough of it. So it was 5 cycles. He got about 90% of the plan, the frontline treatment. So we stopped there and we went into scans. And thank God, on September 29th, he was officially declared in remission. So we're so excited about that. Unfortunately, it doesn't end there. And at the same time, we're excited, but it's almost like you have survivor guilt, because then you see these beautiful babies that unfortunately don't make it. And it's like, why did my son get this? Why is my son surviving it? Will he survive forever? Will he relapse? There's all these questions that go on in your head that you want to train your mind not to think that way, but it's impossible. When you have scans coming, you think, okay, where is it? Is it going to be in his brain? Is it going to in his skull? Is it going to be somewhere else? You just never know. And you try so hard just to enjoy the moment, but it's so challenging. Cancer, neuroblastoma, it's the devil. It truly is. It's a nightmare. But thank God he is in remission. So we do celebrate it. We celebrate it with him. After we've been home for about 3 weeks now. So this is all new to us still, really. It's only been a couple of months. We've been home for about 3 weeks. He started walking again. He's getting stronger and stronger every day. Thank God. Every day he's learning to go up and down the steps again. He's doing better with that. Thank God. We also just finished on Monday his radiation. So he had 6 days straight of radiation. It was 2 sessions a day. That was very challenging. Again, he couldn't eat. Rocco likes to eat. He couldn't eat until about 1, 2 o'clock every afternoon. And that's from waking him up at 5 in the morning to say, okay, let's go. We got to go to radiation. And that was 6 days straight of that. Thank God he got through it, as he always does, always with a smile on his face. I don't know how. I truly don't know how. And I say it all the time. He just smiles. And he truly is my true life superhero. I gave birth to my superhero. I love him dearly. And I admire him. I truly admire my son, Rocco. So we got through radiation Monday. We also did 1 cycle of antibody, which was, I personally think, the most challenging day that we faced in treatment, aside from the surgeries and then the toxicity. The pain that he had to go through was impossible. The first day, they can't really give painkillers until after, because they have to see how his blood pressure and how his body is responding to it. So that was challenging, because when your son is in your arms screaming to you, "Mama, please help me. Mama, it hurts. Please help me." And I feel hopeless, like helpless. I just couldn't help him. There was nothing I can do but hold him and tell him it's going to be okay. That was extremely challenging. And that was 3 days of that for the first cycle. But again, he got through it, and he was happy once he was eating, and he was feeling better. So we have 4 more cycles of that to go through. Scans, of course, coming up. Again, like I said, you get anxiety over the scans, because you never know what you're going to hear, what the results will be. You pray for the best. It's never, I don't think it'll ever be easy. I think it takes about 5 years until you can officially be declared cured. So we have a long road ahead of us. We've had a very long past couple of months, challenging, but hopefully there'll be brighter days ahead. I'm sure there will be. But I have to say, like, the community, our families, the police department have reached out, the fire department. We've had motorcycle clubs, Rolling Thunder, just everybody has somehow, some way reached out to us, sent gifts to Rocco. And I don't think people realize, it puts a smile on his face, and it makes me happy, because that was the one thing we can look forward to. Like, look, Rocco, you got a gift, and look at this. And he was so happy every time he received something. So we appreciate all of the support that we've gotten from everybody, but we want to continue getting that support. So we created a GoFundMe page in Rocco's name, And the reason for that GoFundMe, that was created, and where my husband and I are fortunate enough to have insurance coverage that they cover the majority of the medical expenses. We have expenses that we have to pay, of course. That'll be our responsibility. But I thought it was important that 4% is just not enough. So we took this moment to create the GoFundMe page, and 100% of that, whatever we raise, is going directly to MSK Kids for research, childhood cancer research, because it's important. No kid should go through this, and if they do have to go through it, there has to be better ways, because this is a terrible situation. And I know we've come a long way from what we've had in the past, but we have to do better. And children deserve more than 4%. 4 pennies on the dollar is just not enough, and it's not going to get any better unless they hear us, unless we help. So, so again, I thank you for what you're doing, but we need the community. We need everybody to continue helping out and doing what we do, and get rid of this, because it's a nightmare.
Well, Gabriella, thank you so much for sharing that story, and for everything that our Warrior Rocco is going through. It's I mean, you got to look at least a little bit of the silver linings on all these
Right.
situations that happen. Sloan obviously is probably the best hospital here in the U.S. To treat neuroblastoma. And Dr. LaQuaglia, I remember, and we were speaking a little bit off camera, that was one of the surgeons that they wanted to send my daughter to, because we just saw all the reviews about him and how great
Mhm.
he is. Unfortunately, for a lot of parents, such as myself included, um, by the time that we were all new to this world, to cancer, such as you were, especially neuroblastoma. You hear about other types of cancers that are more
Mhm.
common, but not neuroblastoma. So by the time
Sure.
we heard, and we did our research, and people told us, unfortunately, there was already a lot of cooks that had put their hands in
Mm.
and trying and using Mia as, and I dare say, as a guinea pig to try and see what they could do. So unfortunately, Mia and again, a lot of children have been misdiagnosed, have been misstaged. So by the time we get to either go to Fort Worth, where we were, or Sloan, as you were in New York, it's already too late.
Mhm.
So, but I mean, what a blessing, honestly, that you were there, and there were essentially the first ones to kind of to start doing all the treatments on Rocco. So I know that helped out so much.
Right.
So and for all the people that are watching this, anxiety, we know what it is, and if you
Yeah.
all don't know what it is, Gabriella explained it. Every time our children get any type of scans, even I remember when they would even schedule us, okay, you're going to be going into scans in 2 weeks. From that day on, you can't even sleep. You can't
Nope.
sleep, and you're thinking the worst. You're thinking, what are we gonna hear? What kind of results are we gonna get? And it's truly a thing that keeps you up, and it's truly one of these things that gives you PTSD. And
Yep.
for somebody such, for all these kids that are going through it right now, for the parents that are going through it with them, we all know what this is. We all know about the anxiety and how horrible it is. But you say Rocco went through everything and has gone through everything, and with a smile on their face. I mean, you see
Mhm.
these kids smile as they're going through things, and you know what? It's when they take those times, and that's when they try to say, okay, this is what childhood cancer is. Look, they're smiling. Yeah, they're smile because because God is
They're
with them.
resilient,
They're
and they are
resilient.
resilient. Mhm.
Exactly, but they don't see everything else. And
No.
when you're talking about neuroblastoma, of course, I went through the whole neuroblastoma thing, and I remember too, hugging my daughter as she was horrible in pain, telling her everything was going to be okay, where I felt bad because I was lying to her, because I didn't know if things were going to go okay or not. But we're here, and I think that God chose us for a reason, and we're going to be a voice. And like you said, 4 pennies, guys, seriously, people that are watching, family that you guys are watching, for every dollar donated, our children get 4 pennies. That's all they get. that's not enough. That's why we're getting all these doctors saying, well, we don't know what else to do. We've tried
Right.
everything. And that's because not that they're bad doctors, it's just that the research has only gone so far to where they
Right.
can't do any more research. So they don't know what to do. And that's just, in my opinion, is unacceptable. And Gabriella, as I've mentioned to a lot of people, even if it costs me my life, I am going to do whatever I can to make a difference for all these children, for our kids, for Rocco, because Rocco, he still has, a long way to go. He
Yeah.
still has a lot to go. And I'm happy and I'm blessed. And when I was reading your post about him, I mean, I am overjoyed. I'm happy because I'm really rooting for these Warriors, because that is one less, kid that we can look at death and look at the devil and say, you didn't steal this child. This child is still here, and this child is still here to make a difference, and this child's going to be a walking testimony. And that is exactly, our way of being able to win and say, no, you're not going to take this child.
Right.
So um well, and just to to do the GoFundMe, and the reason why you're doing the GoFundMe, Gabriella, really, that's thank you. I want to say thank you, for doing that for cancer research. And a lot of parents, like I said, a lot of parents that have been featured here, a lot of parents that I've been speaking to in the support group that we've created as well. I know those parents are more than thankful for that. I know you're still somewhat new in this.
Mhm.
Rocco was just diagnosed in May. I want to extend my friendship, my brotherhood, my family out to you.
Thank you.
And trust me, once this and I start tagging you, you're gonna start getting a lot of people requesting you and talking to you, parents that have gone through this, because we might be 2 years out, 3 years out, 5 years out, but there's this community and there's this family.
Right.
Unfortunately, we had to meet this way, but I'm glad that God has brought us together, and
Yes.
we're able to share these stories, and we're able to help each other out, in our
Yes.
time of need. So I know you kind of touched up a little bit, Gabriella, but if you can also let us know, as far as the roadmap on where he's at now, and what he's got scheduled maybe in the next couple of months.
Sure.
Where are we at there?
So, like I said, he just finished radiation on Monday, thank God. So, no more radiation. On November 9th, he's going to go into his second cycle of antibody. And I believe after that, we have his next schedule of scans. So, again, scanxiety. And then after that, he'll have 3 more cycles of antibody. Once he's done with that, he'll do 2 years of vaccine, which is that's the Sloan protocol for neuroblastoma. Um, so it'll be 2 years of that. And we didn't really speak to like the long-term effects. I know after about 2 or 3 years of, I think it's every 3 months he'll have scans, and it'll go into every 6 months. But we'll be talking to his long-term oncologist, and basically she'll talk about all of these long-term effects that you don't think about now when you're doing the frontline treatment, because you just want to get him to remission and get him cured. But that's when she's going to talk about the secondary cancers that we can be faced with, the terrible teeth issues that he's going to have, the hearing loss that he may be faced with. So these are all things that we now have to look forward to. So unfortunately, our battle is not over. And everybody who saw that I posted that Rocco's in remission, they're so happy, and they're like, oh, now brighter days ahead. I'm like, yeah, but there's still so much more to it. It's not just like we're going to go back to our normal life. Our life has changed forever as of May 12th, 2020. But like I said, we will continue to battle on, fight on. We will continue to support other families. I have to say, this is, even though it seems like a big community, it's a small community. It's not enough what we're getting, but I feel like with the support that we're giving to each other is incredible. We've met some families that really helped us get through, told us what to expect. The children have been in the process. They already went through it. All different outcomes. No one story is the same. I have yet to hear of a child having the same exact situation as Rocco, and I know I never will. but a 40 to 50% survival rate is very scary, especially in 2020. Relapse rate, I believe, is also 50%. Very scary again, to be in 2020. So that relapse, it's like I said, you're excited. Okay, great, he's in remission, but what's going to happen next? In 3 months from now, are they going to see another spot? In 3 months from now, are they going to tell me he has a different type of cancer? So this will never end. This is our new life. But we will continue to battle on with this community of ours. So
Right, and that's when those are the dates that you're always gonna have, and engraved in your head, and that's when the
mhm.
nightmare starts, and
Yep.
it just keeps going from there. And I've told people, for me, it's been in September of 2017. That's when my nightmare began, and I still haven't woken up from this nightmare, and
Mhm.
and it's okay, But and one thing that I tell people is that it's okay to not be okay, and I am willing to share my story, and I'm willing to tell people that I'm broken and that I'm shattered, and this is probably how I'm going to be for a very long time, if not forever. But it's okay. It's okay, because it's not about me anymore. It's about these children. It's about these kids and what we can do for Rocco, for all these other children that are going through what they're going through. um Once again, Gabriella, I just wanted to say thank you so much for sharing your warrior story. We will certainly be behind him 100%.
Thank you.
But just before we actually finish this video call, just something you want to leave us with, something that you might want to tell people that are watching. I usually tell people, to give advice to other parents that are going through the same thing, and through parents that are not going through the same thing, that have perfectly healthy children. What can you leave us with?
So the first and foremost, I have to say, I was always that mother, unfortunately, that said that'll never be my child. When I hear of other children who are diagnosed, oh, that'll never happen to us, and that all changed in the blink of an eye. So if you do have a healthy child, kiss them, love them, appreciate it. Thank God that your child is healthy. And if your child is diagnosed with a terminal disease, whatever it is, love that child the same way, but fight on. Don't ever give up, and just know that you truly gave birth to your superhero, and they will continue fighting as long as they have you on their side. And I truly believe that. So with the community, with you, with all of our strength put together, I think that children will have hope, and we'll see better results in the future. I'm hoping for, I'm praying for.
Thank you. Yes, and that's one thing that I hope and pray for as well. Again, Gabriella, I can't thank you enough. Thank you. Welcome to the Gold Corner family. Welcome to this support group. Welcome. It's just
Thank you.
a broken family, but we're here for each other, and
Yes.
we're gonna do whatever we can to help each other out and help these kids out. So once again, thank you very much for everybody who
Thank
took the
you.
time to watch this week's episode. I want to also thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking time out of, again, your busy schedule to watch this. I will be tagging Gabriella when I do the preview video, and when I do upload the video, I'll be tagging her. They do have a GoFundMe now. Keep in mind, the GoFundMe that they're doing, 100% of what's going to go there is going to go to that childhood cancer research that they were talking about. I'm going to be asking Gabriella to send me that information, and I'll be tagging her and posting the link for that GoFundMe, so you all can donate and help. And like I say, every week you can actually reach out to Gabriella if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you want to give her a word of encouragement, or if you have any questions. There's newly parents that their child has just been diagnosed, that might have a lot of questions, and she'll be here for you. I'm here for you. So whatever we can do, again, this is a family that we're here for each other, and we're going to fight with each other. And every time that we hear that a child has been diagnosed, that's when we're going to rush in, and we're going to be helping and praying for one another. So please donate if you can to this GoFundMe. Say prayers for Rocco, for the DiMaggio family. They would really, really appreciate it. Once again, thank you very much. And as I tell you all every week, remember to live each day to its fullest, because tomorrow is not promised. Make sure you pray for your kids, pray for your family, pray for your city, pray for this nation, because we are in dire need of God. We need for God to intervene now more than ever, because our nation is probably at its worst that it's been. So just pray for our nation and hold on a little while longer, because we're almost home. God bless you, and we'll see you next week.